A timeline of my online personas. I'm gonna hold this up. Okay. This is backwards, right? Can you guys confirm once more just so that
yes, it's not backwards.
Yes.
2002, Supergirl919 at hotmail.com. This ancient MSN adjacent relic was my very first email address. I intended for SPRGRL to stand for Supergirl, though it just as easily could have meant Spear Girl or Spider Girl or Spare Grill. I'd seen approximately 0 Superman movies and wasn't particularly interested in superheroes at the time or currently. However, the Princess Diaries soundtrack featured a song with the lyrics, "I'm Supergirl and I'm here to save the world, and I want to know who's going to save me." I also had exactly 1 shirt from Kohl's with the Superman logo on it, so when pressed to think of an email address, I was like, yeah, that could work. The 919 comes from my childhood address because I didn't understand the concept of not revealing too much information to strangers. The only people who knew that email address were my parents, with whom I lived and had no reason to email ever, and a handful of friends at school. My email correspondence with those friends, whose email addresses started with things like Snow Girl and Skater Chick, was composed primarily of quotes we found on strangers' live journals, like, "Flirting is my anti-drug." Low-res GIFs we found on funnyjunk.com. We also sent each other a lot of dolls. If you had a dial-up connection and went to middle school in the early 2000s, you probably remember dolls. Describing dolls as merely digital Barbie dolls does them a disservice. Dolls were like if a Bratz doll and a paper doll met behind a dumpster after school, and the Bratz doll was like, "Okay, I found out what BJ stands for." They were tiny pixelated hot girls with simple looping graphics of twinkling stars or marquees above their head that blinked shopaholic. On websites like Dolls Mania, you could create your own doll, picking which pink mesh messenger cap and flared white pants went best together. None of them. You could also select from hundreds of pre-made dolls, all with 12-inch waists, perfectly round boobs, and thighs that had never and would never meet. My female friends and I would spend our nights making collections of dolls we thought looked like us as Charlie's Angels, us in a girl band, us but goth, or more often, us in our imagination. I would totally wear those low-rise jeans and black cropped halter top. I'd think while picking popcorn out of my braces and wiping it on my Target clearance rack shirt. The only objective in playing dolls was to make the hottest one and send it to your friends. There was no compliment quite like someone greeting you in first period, handing you a full piece of paper with one nearly microscopic 50-pixel doll on it and saying, "I thought this looked like you." My taste in dolls was any indication. I believed hot girls had voluminous hair that was wider than their waist, eyes that took up 75% of their face, and the suggestion of a nose rather than a nose itself. None of the dolls ever looked straight on because even digital girls have a good side. One day in 7th grade, my friend Alyssa printed off an email chain between me, her, and our friend Sammy. This was a normal occurrence as we'd spend free periods cutting out the dolls we made the night before and taping them to our assignment notebooks, adorning one of our few pieces of property with these tiny digital girls. All was fine and good until a cool boy got a hold of the printed off emails during indoor recess. I'll call him Taylor because that was his name. Paging through the printed emails of dolls, Taylor laughed and asked, "Who's Sperm Girl?" The other boys with names like Spencer or Brandon started laughing too. At first, Alyssa, Sammy, and I didn't get it. While decidedly slutty and intentionally sexual, none of our dolls looked particularly spermy. So again, he asked, "Who's Sperm Girl 919? Who's talking about my email address?" To boys who thought the word sperm was both a setup and a punchline, my vowelless illusion was lost on them. Also, it would have been equally embarrassing to correct him by being like, "It's supposed to mean Supergirl and you should address me as such." The boys called me Sperm Girl for the next couple of weeks, and despite my begging, my dad wouldn't let me change my email address since I had just gotten that one. Email addresses strangely felt like a finite resource in 2002. spermgirl919 until high school when I adopted an even more humiliating email address. Baby girl. That was my first AIM, AOL Instant Messenger, for those who don't know the lingo. That was my first screen name, and I didn't even like gummy bears. September 2004, Pink and Pink 642. I eventually upgraded to the screen name I would have throughout all of high school. Think in Pink 642. It was random. It was obscure. It meant absolutely nothing at all. For those reasons, my teenage self thought, yeah, that name is much better. 642 are the numbers you'd press on a phone keypad to spell out Mia. I'm sure I added them in hopes anyone would ask why I chose those particular numbers, but this is the first time I've ever explained it. To dissect Think in Pink, here's what you need to know. 1, I had a Pink Panther themed pajama set that I loved. And 2, this was shortly before Check on It by Beyonce came out and was featured on the 2006 Pink Panther soundtrack, which reaffirmed my screen name choice. That's all the background I have for you. Think in Pink 642 saw me through a lot. My first boyfriend, here boyfriend means a guy who asked me out on AIM and would sometimes look at me in the hallway. That boyfriend breaking up with me a couple months later, hours of online flirting with upperclassmen who would never look at me in real life, and another boyfriend who I learned wanted to dump me after he changed his standard away message from I love Mia to Amber K is my best friend. December 2004, perfect as I'm ever gonna be. This was the name of my first blog I had in high school. It still lives on the internet if you really want to go down a rabbit hole. However, there's only one entry because I either forgot my login information promptly after signing out for the first time, or I wanted to change the URL from Gunna with an O to Gunna with a U, or maybe it was both. 2005, Don't Rain on My Parade. This was the name of the second blog I had in high school. I don't remember if Don't Rain on My Parade was part of the URL or just a title at the top of the blog, but both are equally bad. My blog was essentially a public online diary where I talked about my day with the hyperbolic drama you'd expect of a high schooler. I typed in bad fonts and with lots of colors and employed the use of bold type often. I used code names for boys I had crushes on. I complained about teachers having the absolute nerve to assign homework. I remember my blog being well read among my classmates, though I'm not sure if that was the actual case or just what I imagined to be true. I know on a few occasions people at school would compliment about one of my posts. There is nothing like the sweet awkwardness of someone looking you in your real life eyes and saying, I like that thing you did on the internet. It was nice to feel good at something, being that I was a teen girl who simultaneously felt bad and perfect and too seen and completely invisible. It was nice to have an audience for the same reason. 2006, Ciao Bella 0906. This is the beginning of the email address that usurped Supergirl919. Sperm girl is dead. Long live sperm girl. I had this email throughout most of high school until I started applying for colleges and internships. I eventually became aware enough to know that future employers would take one look at my email and be like, yeah, no, we're not going to hire this limited shirt that came to life. When I still remembered the login information, I went through my old inbox to see if there was anything worth salvaging, meaning love notes I forgot about. Though the inbox was mostly spam and email chain letters from distant aunts, the drafts folder was a nasty little goldmine. One draft was an email I intended to send myself, the contents of which were for a school project. The email had no subject line and was completely blank, save for a PowerPoint presentation on the Holocaust and my personalized email signature that read, "Holla back." My 15-year-old self in a tacky nutshell. What else did I think was worth saving in an email draft when I was in high school? YV AOL Instant Messenger conversation in which my middle school boyfriend and I broke up. Of course. Cool. Super healthy and good. Here is an excerpt from that conversation, a 2-line play, if you will. Me. How come you refuse to do anything with me? Him. Because you can't handle not being able to see me. Incredible. Most of my drafts were saved AIM conversations, angsty and confusingly sexual poems I found online, lyrics to songs I made up, lyrics to songs Nelly made up, and a lot of random capitalization. Because I'm sure you're wondering, 0906 is my birthday, September 6th. Mark it on your calendars, send me gifts and lyrics to Nelly songs. Thank you.